Well, welcome to Foundation Sunday. I'm going to begin with a quick history lesson because there's an important story to be told and retold. Then I'm going to tell you a little bit about the foundation and the ways you can help. Finally, I'm going to introduce a speaker from one of the organizations who received a grant this year. Southminster Foundation History 101. In late 1979 or early 1980, the Davidson family, who were members of this church, sold their family business, Grandma's Cookies, and made a gift of $250,000 to Southminster, the equivalent of just over $1 million in today's money. Income was to be used for mission and community outreach programs, but not for church administrative expenses or facility improvement. It operated until 1995 as an endowment, with some clarity being added over the years by the donors as to how these available funds could be used. The foundation was formed in 1995 with the assets from the Davidson's endowment. Clayton Davidson was a member of the original 8-member board of directors. The foundation's legal structure was that of a supporting organization, an Oregon nonprofit corporation operating for religious purposes. Current member Stanley Martinson, who's here today, was instrumental in drafting the Articles of Incorporation and the bylaws. Now get this, since its inception, we have granted over $1 million, with almost $600,000 going to community organizations. I'd like to explain a little bit about how the foundation operates and have you consider where you might fit in to support the foundation. If you are a member of the church, you're automatically a member of the foundation. And if you're not a member, there's still many ways you can help. First, if you're a member of the church, you can join the foundation board. The foundation consists of a 12-member board, which includes an appointed session trustee. Board members are elected at a congregational meeting in January and serve for 3 years. The officers include president, vice president, secretary, and treasurer. Additionally, there are 6 committees. Anyone can volunteer to serve on these committees. So let's see if one of them sounds interesting to you. So listen carefully. Promotions, grants, investments, legacy planning, the nominating, and legal committees, okay? Now, board members chair these committees. New board members are sought in the fall through advertising in church publications and by word of mouth. Foundation meetings occur monthly, September through June, generally on the second Saturday of the month at 9 o'clock by Zoom. I want you to meet our foundation members. So board members, please stand as I say your name and keep standing until I ask you to sit down. I'm serving as the president this year. Diane Bender is serving as both the vice president and she co-chairs the grant committee. She will be the president next year. Elizabeth Sloan serves as both the secretary and the chair of the legal committee. Craig Butler serves as both the treasurer and the trustee representative. Other board members include Joe Standish, Grants Committee co-chair, Carol Moser and Susan Stevens Garcia, the Legacy Planning co-chairs, Matt Schultze, Promotions chair, and Pam Brown, Doug Eddy, Ekaputra Tupamahu, and Suzanne Angelo round out the rest of the board. And I also want to ask those of you who've ever served on the foundation, on the board or a committee, to also stand. Will you do that, please? So thank you all for sharing your times and talents over all these years. You can be seated. Thanks. Thanks to your generous donations and a strong market, our investments have done well. The foundation currently has over $1.3 million of invested assets. We count on your donations to grow the principal so that we can continue to give out more money each year. The Legacy Planning Committee attempts to maintain some visibility with the congregation, since larger gifts would logically come through one's estate. So we'll ask you to consider the foundation as part of your estate planning. Your gifts help our church mission work and the people who are in need in our community, not just for today, but well into the future. I think the Davidsons would be amazed to see the growth of the foundation they started and how many community members have been served over all these years. With your help, the foundation will continue to grow and more people will be served. Just 10 years ago, we awarded $19,400. This year, we were able to award more than twice that amount. We awarded a total of $20,800 to 8 organizations, and we also gave $20,200 to Southminster's Church Mission Fund. The names of these organizations and award amounts are found out in the narthex and a poster surrounded by the balloons. Throughout this year, you're going to learn more about each of these 8 grant-receiving organizations in our Minute to Mission segments. But today, we have the opportunity to hear from Caron, who's the executive director from an organization called Love, Inc. And Ken, thank you for taking the time to share the work of Love Incorporated with us today. Please welcome Caron.
Good morning. Good morning. I just want to thank the foundation for all of your hard work and all of you who have spent the years as a part of it. Sorry, I'll try not to wander. As a part of the foundation, I just want to thank you for all of your hard work. As a director, okay, all right, sorry. As a director, I've had the privilege of working for Love Inc. for over 9.5 years. The last 2.5 as just the director alone. The stories I could tell you of the clients that we have worked with, the churches that we've been a part of, have been an incredible dynamic. I want to go back to the scripture that was just read, Matthew 25, 35 through 36. For when you saw me hungry, you fed me. When you found me thirsty, you gave me drink. When I had no place to stay, you invited me in. And when I was poorly clothed, you covered me. When I was sick, you tenderly cared for me. And when I was in prison, you visited me. You'll notice a relationship that is going on between a person who sees the need and the person with the need. Love Inc. works to step into that dynamic as an organization. One of the dynamics and challenges that we work with in trying to solve is that we work to help individuals and families that live on the margins and stay in their homes by partnering with churches who help provide different services that are not available through government organizations or local agencies. I want to tell you a story about a client that we have. Her name is made up for you, Sandy. Sandy is a domestic violence victim. She came to Love Inc. a number of years ago. And one of the things that she shared with me recently was that when she was going through her crisis, that one of the pieces for her that was really helpful for who we are as an organization is that we were able to meet the practical needs. Because as she came to Oregon from the Southwest, she got online, she did her search for domestic violence help, and she kept getting numbers and numbers to call. And she would call one and they'd give her more numbers. And it was just a circle that she ran into. I want to emphasize this was her experience. It's not necessarily true for all, but it was very frustrating. It was very exhausting as she was going through that. You'll see on this next slide, on the left-hand side, that there is, you'll see that there's a bunch of lines going all around. This is what Sandy was experiencing. She was experiencing that dynamic of not being able to go to one location, be able to receive her help. The mission of Love Inc., we work to serve as a central hub we serve as the central hub to unite, align, and mobilize local churches and agencies to care for the practical. The practical part was back in the scripture. that we work to come alongside people and then and help in the spiritual needs of our local community. About 15 years ago, a pastor received a phone call from an individual who had needs, and he was trying to figure out, how do I help this person? And the needs that they had were greater than what they could do alone. And he was frustrated that he was able to meet the needs for him. And this is where he was going, okay, there's got to be a different way of doing benevolence. And Love Inc. came out of that model. And you'll see on this next slide where, you can go to the next slide. Thank you. This is where Love Inc. comes into the heart of it all. It's not that we're the most important piece. We're just that connecting fiber between churches. These are several of the churches in the Tiger, Tualatin, and Sherwood area, some other organizations, cities that we cooperate with, work with, to try and meet the needs of people that are struggling just like Sandy was. Instead of having to call all of these different places, she was able to call us. And we were then able to listen to her needs and then be able to plug in through the network of churches that decide, okay, I can help in this area. I may not be able to help in all areas, but I can help in this area. The next slide, please. These are some of the services that some of our church partners are able to help in. One church is able to help in an area called Essentials. That's personal hygiene, cleaning supplies, toilet paper, paper towels, feminine products. It's the number one need of individuals who call our office. When they hear of that list, they're going, yes, please. Our family could desperately use these items. And you'll see that there's firewood, bus tickets, linens. Sandy, one of the things that she needed was linens. As I said, she came from the Southwest. When she came to Oregon, had just experienced her first November electric bill in December. They had baseboard heating, and the bill was high. She needed linens to keep her family warm. We heard that need. We were able to reach out to a church partner. Within 24 hours, those items were in our office. We had adult clothing for her that she was able to pick up, children's clothing within a week. Those essential items were at her home that next Sunday or Monday. All the things that she needed to help her family in one call. That's the difference that we are trying to make. That's the problem, the unique dynamic that we are working hard to help people. If you can go to the next slide, please. And that's the dynamic. Love Inc. is the hub. And I know you're hearing this over and over again, but it's the heart of who we are. We're just the hub. We're not the pieces that make the engine going. The churches are the ones that do that. And so a person will call us where the pastor was frustrated and how to handle the call that came in. We have trained volunteers that listen to the story, that walk alongside the person, walk through the budget in the income and expenses for a person. I'm friends with a couple of different admins at churches, and they are so incredibly grateful that they can reference a person to us because they feel grossly inadequate to be able to handle those calls that come in. One of the areas that I seek your prayers for is for my volunteers. When they hear those stories, they're difficult. They can be hard to hear day after day, but it's through the prayers of the body that they are protected. I know for myself that those prayers have been incredibly helpful. I had one day where I was leaving on a Wednesday night, not knowing where a family of 4 was going to be. They had an infant. It was a rough night. It was through God's help and God's prayers that I was able to be sustained to be able to help that family and help others just like them moving forward. That is the idea of what Love Inc. is trying to do. It is trying to help those people in their needs, trying to help them and help the churches so that they can be the ones that can help in a particular area. The pastor could help in one area, but to meet the total volume would be absolutely difficult to do. The following video that you're going to see is something that Love Inc. National put together. Love Inc. is a part of a national organization. There's about 130 plus affiliates around the country. Each one's independent from each other, but it gives you a little bit more of the taste and flavor of who we are as an organization.
Love Inc. is a ministry that provides opportunities for empower the churches to help meet some of the needs in the community. They do an excellent job of not only validating certain needs and walking with those needs and providing volunteers from our churches to help meet those needs, but they also do a good job of looking at where the gaps are in the area.
So I see the value of church partnering with Love Inc. is the opportunity of expansion of ministry beyond the own resources that individual church provides. And so that collaboration allows there to be resources that are oftentimes not accessed on the church's own abilities to be pulled together by other ministries in the community that have the same heart, mind, ethos, doctrinal positioning, or just the same desires to see others be blessed, to take care of the least of these.
Jesus sent us out by two. So if you have Love Inc. and you have the church, and we're working together 2 by 2, there's a lot we can do, and nothing can stop us.
Families are making changes in their life, and we have just witnessed the transformation of Jesus within themselves individually, but then it just flows into their children and into their household. I feel like it's something that our community needed to just take us another step in making difference in people's lives.
People need to know that they're not invisible. That's their mission, is not to just help people feel important, but for people to come to a place where they realize their potential, they realize their value.
Love Inc., I think, provides really impactful opportunities to serve, and it keeps in mind that it's very unique to each person and each volunteer, and it has opportunities for any kind of person, with any skill that you can settle in and be a part of it.
Harvest is ripe, the labors are few. Most ministries are trying to think about how do we help my parishioners, the congregants throughout the week. We don't have training, we don't have classes, we don't have resources, but another church does, right? And so the ability to be able to access another ministry's resources without losing out on that support services to your own members is huge.
Everybody has their gifts that God has given them, and every church has their own culture, so to speak, and they can be part of this.
I know I've become a lot more compassionate after hearing all the needs that come into Love Inc. And that just really made me stop and think and pray a lot. And I'm a more compassionate person. I listen better. I'm a better listener and more willing to be involved and to help out. Being a part of Love Inc. will bless your church more than you can realize. Just give it a shot. Open your heart up, say yes, and see what God will do. Just see what God will do.
This line of see what God can do. One of my volunteers, Ray, he's an incredible guy. He's from Boston. So every now and then his ka and park and all those phrases come out. I just love it. Ray comes in, he says, we have a pickup. He comes in, grabs it, goes, drops it off. We follow up with the client, and he said, oh yeah, it came. Ray dropped it off. Oh, we just love Ray. And so we tell, hey, Ray, we heard from this client. They told us they love us. What are you doing out there? He goes, I don't know. Here's your stuff. And God meets them there. In that exchange, God is present. And it's an incredible dynamic of seeing what's happening. He doesn't do anything special, but the person who doesn't have transportation, it is something special. Last year, in 2025, Love Inc. was able to help 70 new clients. For our little organization, that's an incredible number. We were able to help 145 families, 239 children. I was able to capture about 2,300 volunteer hours. I know it's more than that. The part that's really kind of fun for us is that 1,687 needs were met. Between 32 and 35 needs a week are being met. The pastor who called, or the person who called the pastor at the beginning, his church couldn't do that volume, that number, but a collection of churches working together can. And that's the heart of who we are as an organization. On this next slide, you'll see a picture. There we go. A picture. These are Sandy and Tammy. Sandy and Tammy spoke at our fundraiser Fiesta of Hope just a couple weeks ago. And a few words that really stuck out to me and spoke to me is that they talked about when they called Love Inc., they felt supported. They felt loved. One of my volunteers, she's about 88 years old. Somebody comes into the office, she just lights up. She walks over to him, introduces herself, and says, "Hi, I'm Millie." And they introduce themselves, and they just have this sweet, wonderful little conversation. "Can I give you a hug?" The client feels loved. Millie's just doing what she does. It's a part of who she is. Tammy and Sandy both feel that as they have interacted with Love Inc. over the years. One of the things that Sandy communicated is that she felt a sense of relief as we walk through the areas of need that you have. Okay, you have needs for toilet paper. Okay, let's walk through a list. And we're going, okay, do you need it? Just tell me yes or no. And she goes, just being able to say yes or no was such a relief to me, because I didn't have to sit there and put the emotional brain power into what are the things I need. We have areas that we can just step into and do. A sense of dignity. Tammy, her son has size 13 feet, just a little big, and he was granted a scholarship to Horizon Christian High School. It's a bit of affluent, and he felt a little bit out of place. But we were able to, through a grant we had at the time called My New Red Shoes, able to supply him with a brand new pair of shoes and some clothing, so that when he went to school, he felt a little bit more normal. And for the mom, she knew that it helped provide her son dignity. And the last part of this was that they felt it was okay to ask. When you're going through your crisis and you're experiencing all kinds of different things, and you keep running into walls, and you're going, okay, do I ask? Do I not? And they felt it was okay. We made them feel comfortable. Say, we may not be able to find it. We may not have it, but it's okay to ask, and we'll see what we can do. If we can't do it, we'll tell you. But sometimes God just really opens up a door that we're just absolutely astonished by. You'll see on this next slide, my crew. These are some incredible volunteers that give of their time and their treasure. One of my volunteers is here this morning. Her name is Rose. We'll be here after service. You can ask either one of us any kind of question you want about Love Inc. We both treasure this organization, and we've seen God do some incredible things over the last 2.5 years. We almost closed, but God did an incredible miracle, and we're at a spot where we have never been before. And we're excited about where God is going to be leading and God is going to be taking us. As I said, we're excited about the future. The next slide, please. The grant that we're receiving later this week, I'm going to be signing up a volunteer who's all set and ready to go to be going through some training that's going to start in July and August, which is going through that. We're going to be talking about and looking at how are we going to unfold this and use this coming in the fall and in the winter, and then how we're going to adjust it moving forward in the area of financial training and trying to come alongside our clients in this area and help them in a dignified fashion. We also have an individual this last year who has a real passion and real desire to help people overcome obstacles in trying to get back to work, or in just trying to get that step into work. And there's several areas listed on there for that. But the one piece that's interesting in the last 3 weeks is a couple different churches from the Beaverton area have wondered about the Love Inc. model. And so we're going to be looking at and chatting a little bit about what that means, what it could mean for the Beaverton area. And so I invite the congregation to look at and think of, is this model something that church would be interested in, partnering with other churches in the Beaverton area of trying to come alongside individuals just like Sandy and Tammy and help meet the practical needs in their lives? I want to thank you for allowing me to be here. I want to thank you for the grant. It's a real answer to prayer. In our 2026 budget, we didn't have that money for training, and this comes at just the right time, and God is an incredible God who does things like that, and we're just excited. Again, I thank you, and I'll be here after service just to chat, and so I welcome you to come up and introduce yourself. Thank you.